Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today is co-founder of The Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show Crosstalk. Well, yesterday was day one of the Biden administration. We had a bizarre inaugural, which was attended more by US armed forces than the public. There were more troops present than spectators. Um, and we had a strange inaugural address in which invocations of national unity alternated with threats to crush white supremacy, racism, insurrectionism, and the rest. So it was hard to figure out what he was saying. And the moment he finished his inaugural address, President Biden now signed a raft of executive orders, many of them, in fact, most of them, overturning Trump administration policies, and particularly his policies on immigration. He's canceling building of the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. He's ending the travel ban, which people refer to as the Muslim ban, but in fact was just a travel ban from countries riven by terrorism. He's promising to expand DACA, promising to end essentially enforcement of immigration law, and is ending the Trump administration policy of having asylum seekers wait in Mexico before they can come into the country. That's gone. And down the road, we are expecting a major immigration legislation, which promises amnesty to down the road for who knows how many illegals living in the United States. So this seems to be the priority of a Biden administration, which is very odd that when you invoke national unity, you want to tackle as your first issue something that is so deeply divisive in American life, namely immigration. Peter, what was your take?
Well, I mean, I have just so many thoughts about what I saw. I only watched snippets of it. I didn't want to invest much time into it. But you're right. Starting out with immigration as is your top priority, at least on that day. Making it clear that the nuances of immigration be at the center of the very first days of the Biden administration sends completely the wrong signal. Okay, so it's about other people. It's not about the citizens. Okay, you want to create citizens, but you're not so concerned with the citizens that are here. And the inaugural address, the tension that you alluded to, I think is going to be very much part and parcel of this administration, because this kind of conciliatory language, I think that's probably the sum total of Biden's 50 years in government. I mean, he likes to cajole, he likes to compromise. He's already compromised before he even sits at the table. Obama picked up on that too. But then you come out with these sticks, and really mean sticks, okay, about white supremacy and terrorism, domestic terrorism, all that. I mean, the speech in toto is a contradiction all the way through, and that's the beginning here. I mean, the interesting, I have so many thoughts. When you think about, you mentioned the military presence there. I mean, it's interesting that the American military presence in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria all failed. So I wonder if they get a nation building in Washington now. Okay, let the U.S. military take that. Also, for exactly 4 years ago, doubting the outcome of the election was patriotism. Today, it's sedition.
That's right.
Compared to the last inaugural, who is being tracked for thought crimes? Okay, now thought crimes are being tracked. You're being vetted if you can be a person in polite society or any level of society right now. And the inauguration was a real reflection of the campaign, wasn't it? Joe didn't campaign for the job, and the inauguration was a non-inauguration. The first thing he does is make null and void his predecessor's agenda. Trump didn't do that. Trump actually signed in. He had a proactive agenda. Yes, he did pull Obama policies, but I mean, on his first day, my memory serves correctly, he was out the gate with what he wanted to do. Biden is telling us what he doesn't want to do.
Yes. Well, that's a very good point. Yeah.
And then a whole around this here, we have the confirmation hearings for his primary cabinet members, you know. And I was going through some articles this morning, and I don't think I came up with it myself. I'm sure other people have independently, but he's surrounded by Obama cons. Okay. So not a particularly interesting beginning. Maybe this is what people want. The media is completely incurious.
Yes, yes, no, that is right. And the media's slobbering and fawning and groveling and bootlicking is so disgusting that in comparison, the Obama years were kind of models of critical distance. I mean, the interviewer who was asking Kamala Harris about her shoes, and then there were stories about how stylish Dr. Biden looked. Doctor. Now, this thing, I mean, it's not an issue I care that much about, but there is no question that the reason they continue to insist on calling her Dr. Biden is to fool people, because many people must be fooled into thinking that she is a medical doctor. So it's only, the cognoscenti, people follow these things closely, who know that she doesn't even have a PhD. It's a kind of doctor of education. But that we know this, but they say, Dr. Biden was so stylish, forgetting that her predecessor, Melania, was a world famous supermodel. I mean, before she married Trump, and she was nothing if not stylish and glamorous. Yet she never graced a single magazine cover. Yeah.
And she's a linguist in her own right.
Right. And she really was stylish. I mean, certainly the most glamorous first lady, at least since Jackie Kennedy. But not one woman's magazine had her on the cover. Not one fashion magazine ever featured her. And now, we're going to have a whole slew of magazines featuring Dr. Jill Biden. How does the doctor work out in the mornings?
Melania, on Inauguration Day in 2017, she was stunning. And yesterday, on the last day of the Trump administration, she looked equally stunning. Okay, and just attacking. I never understood why they attacked her. Okay, I mean, she hardly said anything. Okay, and she was aiding and comforting her husband, which a lot of families believe that. Okay, right. I mean, they stick together. The fawning of it all here. I mean, it really makes you want to vomit. I mean, seriously. I mean, I was astounded by the clips that I saw. Is that this is supposed to be the elite, the media, and this is all they're talking about. And again, I don't want to harp on it, and I probably will harp on it nonetheless. Is that why does she cackle after the end of every single question?
Right, because it's a way of not answering the questions that you're asked. If you cackle, it sounds as if you've actually answered the question when you haven't, as if somehow you've said something very obvious and then she cackles. Hillary Clinton used to do the same little trick. When you remember that time when I think it was a reporter asked her about, did you wipe the server? And she pretended, oh, well, you mean like wiped it with a cloth? But the point was, that was a very pertinent question. Did you wipe the server? Which you were basically your homebrew server on which you had all your State Department classified emails. But she laughed it off by, oh, wipe it with a cloth. That's what she does. She cackles as if somehow, okay, well, I've answered the question. There's really almost nothing, no real reason to do so. It's a little trick, but journalists should be professional enough to avoid falling for that little trick. But They're not going to.
Well, I'm sorry. I think I probably have a more banal reasoning for it. She doesn't know what she's talking about, and that's why it's a nervous laughter that comes out. It's a uncontrolled thing, I think, in her case. You know, look at her past, see how she climbed the ladder. Okay, let's enough said. Okay, but take a look at her past. Okay. Yes, but I mean, one of the interesting things too is with the media coverage. Okay, you know, half the country abhors MSNBC and CNN, so they're not even seeing that. Okay, they're not even seeing that. Okay, but what's really interesting to me, and this is kind of one of my pet peeves, as you know, is that you're going to have a lot of progressives watching this coverage too, and this is the media covering for Biden with their very intense anti-Bernie, anti-progressive bias. So what they're trying to do is to obliterate the Trump past, and what they're trying to do is to keep in check the progressives, because because what we've been through, what all this nightmare is over. We have to come together. No, it's the media and the Biden orbit that are coming together and will stick together to keep the control, the parameters, the contours of the conversation. So this is just as much directed at Trump supporters as it is people that within the Democratic coalition that are saying, yeah, Joe, are you just going to, sign a few things and put a lid on it at 9 o'clock? And that's it, we're done? Okay, well, because these people are power hungry. They're power hungry. They want their agenda to be put into place.
Right, but I think that's the thing. I mean, it depends on what this agenda is. Now, immigration is one of those things that progressives like and the giant corporations like. So that is a wonderful ingredient of neoliberalism, because cheap labor. And you've got the progressives on board who think that this is so wonderful because it's all humanitarian, reuniting families, and kumbaya, people coming across the border to seek a better life. So you give them this, but that's about it. I mean, if the progressives think that they're going to get Medicare for all, they've got another thing coming, because that's something that corporations are not going to go for. So you just go for the issues that corporations love. And not just immigration, by fighting racism. Corporations love that. They love, dividing workers against one another. Yeah. We're fighting against racism. We're fighting against, white supremacy, and wonderful. So we're going to be spying on all of our workers, looking through their emails, through all their exchanges, because we must stamp out racism. Yeah, they love this kind of stuff.
And all of those recent graduates from those useless universities with their useless degrees, they will be diversity directors, okay? It's created an entire niche in the economy for these people, yes. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, it'll be, I mean, basically it's Gestapo-esque activity, okay? And to make sure you're probing around and vetting everyone and approving everyone and certifying everyone. That's exactly, I mean, going back to Dr. Jill, I mean, this is probably the most transparent example of the managerial professional class here. You have a credential. You're credentialed. You're not a rube. You're a doctor, okay? And you got to look up to me, okay? Because I'm a doctor and you're not. That's actually true.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why when you look at this this agenda, this will be a kind of that neoliberal agenda that Obama enacted. Now, one thing that happened yesterday, which was also kind of interesting, is China issued a set of sanctions against former Trump officials. Now, what was interesting about these sanctions is that they pretty much prohibit these officials from doing any business with any business that involves China. That's actually quite a serious sanction, because, of course, pretty much every business in Washington, D.C. certainly in some way involves China, money from China, investments in China, relations with the Chinese government. And so it's almost like a shot across the bow from China to the Biden administration. You go down this path of pursuing a Trump agenda against us, and you're going to get some of this. And if you're looking for a lucrative career after the administration, forget about it.
Yeah, karma's a bitch, isn't it? Okay. You do it, well, we can do it too. Okay. That's why I've always been against this kind of sanction regime thing, because one day it's going to come back and bite you. Okay, all right, Panama, you don't have to worry about being sanctioned by Panama. Okay, right. You do have to worry about being sanctioned by China, and China is new to this game. Okay, and they've learned from the best. Okay, right. And how to exact what they want through sanctions, because unlike Panama that has no money, the Chinese have tons of money, okay? And there are plenty of people in the professional managerial class that like to take their money, okay?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the Chinese played it brilliantly. Right. And also enacting those sanctions, but also on the other side of the equation, expressing a hope that relations between the United States and China will improve under the Biden administration. So the carrot and the stick came out on the same day.
That's exactly right. I mean, and that's what they're looking for. Now, if you want to go down this path of Trump, which is made in America, make America great again, let's return jobs from China back to the United States. You want to go down this path, you are going to suffer the consequences. And so that's without question why I think Biden will return to the Obama days of, basically trying to start removing the various tariffs and all of the policies that Trump imposed on China with a view to returning jobs to the US. So that's the neoliberal agenda. Well, there are no jobs, but we are stamping out racism. So, anyone who's lucky enough to have a job will have to make sure, will have to go through these re-education camps, re-education classes, and have all these emails constantly surveilled by the special kind of apparat that every corporation is now going to install to check on their workers.
How often are we going to say from this day forward, George, is that any attempt to reset back to 2016 is just adding to the process of bringing Trump or someone like Trump back? It shows that the people in the Biden orbit, the Obamacons, have learned nothing. Right. They have learned absolutely nothing. They don't understand how critical the role of trade and immigration was in the rise of Donald Trump, okay? And they're showing a willful ignorance, okay? And plus it's good for their personal bottom line, okay? And again, this is this professional managerial class that have no interest in the state of the nation, of the economy, and of the people. And they have a perfect cudgel. Half of them are rubes anyway. They're probably domestic terrorists, okay? And at night they're wearing their Klan hoods. Who cares about them? Okay, who cares? And let's bring in millions of new people, better people than these people. I'm sorry, maybe that's a bit of a caricature, but I think there's some truth to it.
No, that's absolutely right. Because when you look at it, why would immigration be your number one priority? Very high unemployment right now in the United States.
COVID.
Yeah, COVID, exactly, COVID. So there's a public health issue involved. And, people are being thrown out of work. Businesses are closing. This is an economic downturn, a very serious economic downturn. So why would you want to start bringing people in? Why would you want, more labor when there aren't enough jobs for the people who are already here? So it makes no sense other than, as you say, replacing these people that we don't like, the rubes, the people who supposedly wear white sheets at night and burn crosses on their neighbors' lawns. We need to replace them with brand new people who will be eternally grateful to us, for all these favors that we're bestowing upon them.
I don't know if you saw it. I think it was last week. I saw it on Fox, but it was footage from either CNN or MSNBC. And they were interviewing an organizer of one of these caravans. And presumably he was Central American, maybe he was Mexican, I don't know. And he spoke pretty good English. I mean, he's quite eloquent, a lot of nice words. And I don't know if I wanted to cry or scream, but he said, well, Joe Biden says we have 100 days to get to America. I mean, this is how the 100 days is interpreted by someone or a group of people, or maybe they're encouraged to think that way. You got 100 days to get there, get going. Okay.
Right. No, well, that's it. Because the absurdity of all of Biden's policies is, well, you'll be entitled to all these amnesties if you were here by January 1, 2021. Yeah, but if you come in illegally, how's anyone going to know when you arrive? I mean, you can come in in March and still say, yeah, I was here before January the 1st, 21. There's no record of you having entered the country. So of course, it's just encouraging hundreds of thousands, if not millions of illegals to come in. Hey, there's an amnesty in the works.
And we have to keep in mind, I don't know the name of the congressional, the city or county, a county in Texas. It's on the border, very close to the border, and primarily made up of Latinos. And they voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump because they supported his immigration policies. See, this professional managerial class, they're doing this because it's virtue signaling. In their mind, it's a good thing. It somehow deals with their imagined white guilt. And so they're for immigration. But what about the folks on the border that maybe are second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th generation? And they said, well, no, we're here because we don't want what's there to come here, okay? And plus, before COVID, our economy was booming, okay? Because there was a labor shortage, wages went up, okay? We don't need excess people. We need a tighter labor market so wages grow.
That's exactly right. And that was Trump's singular achievement, because for the first time in I don't know how many decades, pay was going up for people at the bottom. I mean, we've had decades in which pay was going up, but it's always seemed to be that people at the top 1% or the 0.1%. For the first time, pay was going up for people at the bottom. And it was without question because of Trump's policy of restricting the movement of labor across the border. Now, of course, a cynic would say corporations absolutely hate that. They hate it when wages go up, and then when there is, as you say, a labor shortage, and then workers have negotiating power, they can try to get better terms, better pay. They hate it, and lo and behold, what happens? A massive economic downturn, and we're back to the same familiar cycle. No jobs, workers have very few bargaining rights. They consider themselves lucky if they're holding on to a job. Pay's going down, and you think, yeah, well, isn't it what a strange coincidence that this had to have happened just as the corporations were railing against the Trump's policies.
Yeah, the beginning of the Obama administration is very, very disappointing. I guess we shouldn't be surprised. I want to mention something slightly related, but I think it's important here. Anthony Blinken announced that the Biden administration would end its support, I don't know how you define that, of the Saudi efforts against Yemen and the Houthi. Well, go back to Tony, if I can call you Tony. I'd like you to explain what you said in 2015, backing what would become a genocidal war against some of the poorest people in the world. So what happened between 2015 and 2021? I'd like you to explain it, okay? What's your timeline? What's your thinking there, okay? Because you were all revved up for the Saudis in 2015. Right. Explain yourself. Right. Explain yourself. For a change, you people need to explain yourself. No. And I'm glad that you've come to that conclusion, because most people that know about that have already come to that conclusion way before you foreign policy whiz.
I know, but of course, I also want us to remember Yemen itself was another one of the great successes of the Obama administration. I mean, the war started when Obama pursued a regime change policy in Yemen, much as he was pursuing this regime. He was at the very same time, I think it was 2011, Obama wanted the leader of Libya, Gaddafi, to step down. The leader of Egypt was at that time Mubarak to step down. So the leader of Yemen to step down, and the leader of Syria to step down. So that's a wonderful. There was a kind of a four governments that the Obama administration was demanding that it step down. A calamity in every case, with the exception of Egypt. I mean, well, it was partly a calamity, but actually Egypt managed to recover. But the three other cases of Obama intervention were absolute disasters. And now they're back. That's a horrible thing. They're all back. Blinken, Susan Rice, Samantha Power, all back.
Obama cons.
Yeah. All right, Peter, thank you very much. We will, of course, be maintaining our laser-like focus on day 2 and day 3 of the Biden administration. And remember, if you like The Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.